Good night, good evening, or good afternoon, whichever part of the world you're in. I am the speaker of today's show, Adnan, and this is the Adnan Hour. So, all of you, a big welcome. So, today's topic is cross-cultural marriage, or you can call it interracial marriage if you want to. So, let's see what it is. Let's define it. Here we go. The thought of marrying someone from another country or background may seem exciting on the surface, and it often is, but cross cultural marriages often come with extra challenges that may not become evident until you're well past the honeymoon stage. Here are some of the issues you should be thinking about. Let's get into it. Intermarriage is on the rise. According to the analysis of US Census Bureau data by the Pew Research Center, 17% of US newlyweds in 2015 were married to someone of a different race or ethnicity from their own, up from 3% in 1967. In some metropolitan areas, of course, the numbers are significantly higher due to, of course, more diverse populations. Metropolitan, or let's say urban areas. That certainly seems to be the case in Morocco, where many people are meeting foreigners who have married into the culture or learning of yet another Moroccan who has married someone from another land. The same is happening elsewhere. A 2014 article in The Telegraph reported analysis that showed nearly 1 in 10 people living in Britain are married to or living with someone from outside their own ethnic group, while a 2009 study in Germany revealed that intermarriages made up 12.9 of all marriages in 2006. Such statistics shouldn't be surprising. Today's technology makes global communication both instantaneous and an important part of everyday life. Throw in social media, ease of travel, immigration, and work or study abroad experiences, and it's only natural that more people than ever before are meeting and finding common ground with someone from another culture. While the prospect of cross cultural marriage may seem exciting, couples from very different backgrounds tend to face extra challenges, issues that might barely surface between same race or same culture. Spouses have the potential to become messy conflicts for intercultural couples. It makes sense then to give extra careful consideration to whether your own possible union is as promising as you'd like to think. Here are 8 issues to think about before you say, I do, in an intercultural marriage, particularly those with a foreign born spouse. Gender roles. Don't assume the balance you currently have will exist 2 years down the road. While gender roles in Western society have blurred tremendously in recent decades, many cultures follow a more clearly defined family and social structure. So, while your foreign born fiance seems to admire your diploma and career goals and may even brag about them to his family or her family, he or she might eventually expect you to be more of a homemaker than a breadwinner. It will help to talk about future expectations, even if there aren't any red flags that suggest a change in attitude. Oh, here we go. Number one, extended family. You may have grown up visiting your grandparents only twice a year, but a foreign born spouse might come from a large extended family where everyone is hands on with the baby. Women defer to a family matriarch, and grown sons are expected to financially support elder parents. Some interactions might feel like meddling, particularly for those who come from families or cultures where personal boundaries and family members' roles are defined very differently. Know the family structure and etiquette of your own spouse's culture and upbringing, and prepare to be more yielding than you might be in a same culture marriage. Visits from in laws. Number two, if you do enter into a cross cultural marriage, be prepared for the possibility of lengthy visits from family. In laws traveling from overseas or out of town might expect to stay for months. And if you end up living in your foreign spouse's home country, you may find that local family members will not only drop in for unexpected visits, but might also surprise you by staying for days on end. Depending on the hospitality norms of your spouse's culture, frequent or extended visits from family can become both taxing and vexing, particularly if communication is difficult. While settling clear boundaries for such visits may seem logical to someone from the US, doing so can backfire for your in laws if your in laws perceive that as inhospitable and, excuse me, offensive. Number three, prejudices and social attitudes. No matter how liberal and open minded your spouse appears to be, she or he might harbor subtle prejudices or occasionally display a bigoted opinion. Culture often plays a role in such attitudes. Take time to become aware of common prejudices and prevalent social attitudes of your spouse's culture before you find yourself disliking the person you married or the country you moved to. Religion. It's a big one. According to the US Religious Landscape Survey, one third of married Americans have a spouse with a different religious affiliation. While you may feel supportive of each other's faiths, spirituality grows and wanes, and this has the potential to display previous expectations. Issues such as modesty, socializing, religious observances, holiday celebrations, dietary restrictions, and in what religion to raise the children of all need to be looked at from both conservative and liberal points of view. Number four, parenting. Even couples from the same culture find themselves clashing on everything from snack foods and toilet training to bedtime routines and discipline techniques. But there are extra dilemmas with regard to child rearing in cross cultural marriages, and debating whether or not to raise bilingual children is only one concern. Social norms around the world vary greatly with regard to showing affection, catering to children's whims, involvement of family, appropriate gender play and roles, behavioral and scholastic expectations, and more. These kinds of issues might not even be on your radar until you're suddenly confronted with them. It will help if you agree in advance not to undermine each other's unique parenting styles and to be open to compromise when you do find yourselves viewing things very differently. Okay, so before I move on to the remaining 4 points, anybody has any comments? Oh, you're on live. Yeah. Anyway, private chat, no comments, none. Anyway, I'm live. Yes, I'm live. I know I'm live. Okay, let's continue. Where to live? Living abroad may sound exotic. That's number five, point number five, and alluring, but the reality might not be so peachy, especially if your destination is a less developed part of the world. A foreign language, separation from your family, and frequent misunderstandings with in laws and new acquaintances can overwhelm an expatriate. Moving to Morocco or another new country may also involve a loss of independence due to lack of language, lack of cultural fluency, or even an overprotective spouse. This can prove particularly challenging to someone who's used to moving about freely and decisively. While such issues may seem irrelevant or distant during the newlywed period, the likelihood of a move abroad could increase over time. If you have children, for example, your foreign born spouse might believe that home is a better environment, or you both may decide to immerse the children in their culture. Number six, personality. As in any marriage, your partner's personality is one of the most important aspects to consider. And remember to be honest in evaluating your own personality as well. Some people are easygoing and adapt readily to new ideas and attitudes, while others may be prone to self-righteousness or taking an or talking an unyielding stance. A cross-cultural marriage has less chance of succeeding if both partners can be open, flexible, and good-natured about the unexpected curveballs or googlies that come their way. Sorry, I gave all eight. Very good. Okay, so any comments? Any comments? Let's see. Any comments? No comments. No one in private chat. Anybody want to join the link? The link is open. Join the StreamYard link. Okay. All you need to know about cross cultural marriage. Marriage is something to which most women and men look forward. Some are fortunate to remain married lifelong to a single partner, while a few couples separate or divorce for various reasons. The ancient proverb states, marriages are made in heaven. No comments on this axiom. However, laws, rules, regulations, religions, and cultures are made by humans. Yet these elements often play a decisive role in success or failure of a marriage. More so if you are female or male marrying a foreigner. Matrimony with a partner from an alien culture can be exciting, but could also become a harrowing experience. To prevent marital nightmares, it is imperative to know exactly a cross-cultural marriage entails. Defining foreign spouse. The system of mail order brides that flourished from the 70s to 90s is booming. Several countries have banned mail order brides. Since it's tantamount to a flesh trade, it involved young women from economically backward countries being brought as brides to richer nations and sometimes marrying men old enough to be their grandpas. Whoa! The system now stands replaced with legal matchmaking agencies that flourish on the internet. For a small membership fee, a male or female can select from several prospective partners from any part of the world. Unlike mail orders, the prospective bride or groom has to travel to the country where the prospective spouse resides and get married by completing all legal procedures. There are other types of marriage partners too that meet the definition of a foreign spouse. Number one, native of one country who has acquired citizenship of a foreign land. Number two, child of immigrants holding passport of the country where parents settled. Number three, son or daughter of spouses from different nationalities. There are no astute definitions of foreign spouse, but generally they can be considered as persons who come from very different cultures and ethnicities. Important information. Marrying such persons is common nowadays as several countries accept skilled immigrants and offer citizenship after meeting certain criteria. However, there are two major concerns you need to address for successful, happy marriage with a foreigner. These are number one, legal requirements, number two, cultural differences. Here we discuss this important information in a little more detail. Legal requirements. Here we list some laws, rules, and regulations commonly practiced by countries around the world. However, you may check with your local immigration office and lawyers to address any specific concerns. You cannot settle in the native country of your spouse without proper clearances from its government, meaning marrying the citizen of one country does not automatically entitle you to residency rights there. Often, a series of clearances is sought by different departments of the government before granting permanent residency or even an entry visa to the country of the spouse. The law is to prevent illegal migration or contract marriages where foreign spouse is brought in only for the purpose of gaining citizenship. Providing proof that you're single or unmarried or legally entitled to enter into matrimony is compulsory. Without this document issued by an appropriate authority in your country, you cannot marry a foreigner. You may get married at a religious ceremony in some shrine which might not ask for the proof of being single or unmarried and entitled to marry. However, this document is prerequisite while registering your marriage at a civil court and diplomatic mission. Registering the marriage in your country as well as that of the spouse is essential. Due to differences in matrimony laws of various countries, the foreign partner and you have to conform to the laws of both countries. This is vital to ensure your spouse or progenies can become your legal heirs. Not registering can lead to your marriage being deemed illegal and kids being labeled as illegitimate. Additionally, if you're living in a third country, you need to register the marriage there as well. These laws exist to ensure that both spouses get their required protection and rights while residing in that country. However, registering the marriage is needed only if you wed in that country. That way, the country can grant your spouse the visa or residence permit required under the new marriage status. Unless both spouses of foreign origin hold the same nationality, you need to decide the citizenship that your kids should be given upon birth. Some countries automatically grant its citizenship to the child born on its soil, while others are strict and do not allow women in advanced pregnancy to enter their borders. You need to weigh pros and cons of your children taking the nationality of either the father or mother's country. Now, let us address the cultural differences. If legal wrangles are something to reckon with while marrying a foreigner, bridging cultural differences is also equally essential. Unless you have lived in the native land of the spouse or the other way around, there are a lot of things you need to learn before and after marriage. Food habits are something very common over which most foreign spouses find themselves at odds. Adjusting to alien cuisines is not easy. Your spouse may be unaware of culinary habits and plates of your native culture. While some may adjust to foreign tastes immediately, others might never yield. Quarrels over food can lead to domestic disturbances. Know the economic status of your spouse's family. Money quarrels between couples are a major cause of divorces in the US and other parts of the world. If your spouse's family is economically weaker, they would expect financial assistance. This means that your husband or wife could end up sending a considerable portion of earnings for their support. Understandably, they would require the money for essentials ranging from food to healthcare and education. Hence, it's better to know about monetary sacrifices that marrying a foreigner might entail. Excellent communication is vital to the success of any marriage. Hence, it is essential that your foreign spouse and you have expert level fluency in a common language. People from different countries speak English in various ways. An innocuous remark by a foreigner can be taken as an offense. As of offense in another culture and can severely mar relationships. Knowing differences in religious practices and preferences is also a key to a successful marriage in a foreigner. That you may follow the same faith, native traditions often influence the manner in which it is practiced. For example, some nationalities celebrate the death and welcome mourners with sweets, pastries, liquor, or soft drinks. Others hold somber vigils. You may feel offended if your spouse celebrates the death of some beloved relative on grounds the departed soul has gone to heaven. Others may see melancholic rituals as overreaction to this natural passage of human life. Family bonds of a foreign culture can be very different. Often Hollywood movies highlight these nuances. In some cultures, you are expected to take all members of your spouse's households to a movie or dinner. Enjoying privately with your spouse can be viewed as rude or selfish. Also, while gifting to the spouse, you may also have to buy presents for the family to conform to foreign traditions. With some nationalities, it is common to take uninvited friends and relatives along to a party. You need to prepare for receiving at least double the number of invited guests if your spouse hails from such ethnicities. Spending habits differ according to each nationality. Some cultures encourage thrift and frugality as a sign of modesty, while others indulge in wanton splurges to signify wealth. This makes it important for you to know the spending habits of the culture in which you wish to marry. Else, you may end up living a life bereft of stuff you once took for granted. On the other hand, you may run into financial doldrums if your spouse is an extravagant spender due to cultural compulsions. Okay, let's see. Any comments? Any comments? No comments? Anyone in the private chat? We have almost 40 minutes to go. Almost 40 minutes left. Anybody want to join in? The link is there. The StreamYard link. Join via StreamYard link. You want to give your questions, queries, comments? Please do so. I will be reading them and I'll be answering them. Remember, no trolling, no disrespectful comments here. They will be removed. So, enjoyable experience. Marrying a foreigner can become a very pleasurable experience provided you can counter all legal wrangles posed by laws of different countries and walk that extra mile to learn cultural differences. Millions of people around the world have married foreigners from vastly different cultures and are leading very happy, fulfilled lives. Hence, equating yourself with the vagaries of marrying into a different culture and legalities can prove rather rewarding. Conclusion: some people across the world suffer from xenophobia. They're wary about foreigners in the family and neighborhood. You can do little to tackle such people, who may sometimes go as far as indulging in a racial slur. There's no point in retaliating, since it will only increase the already prevalent hostility. If you're marrying a foreigner, learn to take such remarks in stride. Some people may shun your company or not invite your spouse or you for an occasion. This is no reason to get agitated. Ignoring these xenophobic people is the best answer. However, you may need to acquaint your foreign spouse about the possibility of such occurrences. Okay. Anybody want to give their input? Any comment? Any chat? Anybody want to join in? The link is there. 39 minutes to go. Cross cultural marriages. Four things to consider beforehand. Marrying an individual from a different cultural background sounds exciting. It allows you to be open, accepting, and learn new values and belief systems. However, dating someone from another culture and marrying them are two separate things. Again, I'll say it. However, dating someone from another culture and marrying them are two separate things. A successful cross cultural marriage is only possible if both partners are willing to communicate and find common ground in different situations. Due to different upbringing and surroundings, cross cultural couples may find themselves disagreeing on important things like parenting, religion, and cultural identity. Discuss gender roles. Oh, sorry. Here are three things to consider before uh, tying the knot. Discuss gender roles. Different cultures and societies expect different things from men and women. Though the world is advancing and people are becoming aware of women's rights and gender expressions, it is still important to sit with your spouse to be and discuss a topic that can be as uncomfortable as expected gender roles. Discuss how both of you deal with the house, chores, and expenses to avoid problems and misunderstandings down the road. Religious and ethical belief. It is essential to have a conversation about religion, moral, and ethical beliefs and personal choices before entering married life. Vice versa. Both of you should have respect for rituals and traditions that accompany the culture. Discuss other aspects like holiday celebrations, food restrictions, and which religion to raise the child or on in detail to avoid daily arguments. Parenting. Discuss how both of you will raise your child. What style you will follow. Child. Remember, your child should not bear the cost of your decisions. Adaptability. Both of you should have to ensure throw you different challenges and situations your way. Both of you should be adaptable and easygoing enough to deal with cross cultural issues without being offended. without it turning your bond. There are also some social prejudices related to cultures and societies. You both should make an extra effort to understand them and empathize with your partner when they feel offended by the offensive remarks. Okay, we have like 35 minutes to go. 35 minutes. Nothing. No private chat, no comments, no input. Here's another. The world, you know, it's an the world is an interesting and a diverse place to live in. An intercultural marriage is a union of two people involving numerous cultures and backgrounds. When two various cultures combine together, there may be significant challenges they have to face. Each race ensures their own culture. A culture may differ from one to another due to socially transmitted behavioral patterns, arts, beliefs, institutions, and all other products of human work and thought. Culture is a system of shared beliefs and values and is constantly evolving and changing around the world. The presence of intercultural marriage and intimacy is clear and expanding in societies throughout the culture throughout the culture may consist of shared language, religion, or ethnicity. America is one of the greatest multicultural and multiracial societies in the world at the moment. Nevertheless, this may excuse me, come as a shock to most people. But as lately as 1966, 17 states in the United States actually had laws against the interracial marriage, and all of the states regulated marriage between whites and other races in the country. Discriminations against miscegenations are usual nowadays, despite the significant number of intercultural marriages in the US today. Mere empirical research has been done to determine the nature of these marriages and marital satisfaction. Communication style and interpersonal relationships are fundamental aspects of culture and can vary dramatically from one culture to another. There may be language and communication barriers. It is noteworthy to remember that everyone on this earth has culture, not just those clusters that are considered civilized. The majority of culture is unseen, below the surface. For example, when a Russian man marries an Italian, it is not only the differences in native language, Russian versus Italian, and religion, Eastern Orthodox versus Roman Catholic, but also a host of cultural differences associated with such factors as expression of emotion, conflict expression and management. The role of the family of origin in raising children, the beliefs and values that lie beneath the surface can be the most difficult to change when it's necessary. Interracial marriages are not always intercultural marriages. As in some countries, for example, the United States, people of different races can share the same cultural background. It is easy to comprehend why it is difficult to let go of a tradition or expectation. It isn't easy to deal with the legacy that we've all grown up within our ethnic, religious, and socioeconomic backgrounds. Though it seems to be a very romantic love story in the beginning, the truth is it can be very challenging and frustrating in real life. And it's simply not about being racist. Marriage has a deeper meaning to it, which dwells in understanding it. It is possible to have extremely strong and natural negative feelings surrounding an interracial relationship or a marriage, even though you're not considered as racist. Legal or not, illegal, the question is should interracial marriages be encouraged? The union between two different cultures altogether will give space to different experiences and opportunities in life. But most difficulties in the marriage life where it's considered adaptations to a different culture altogether may not turn out to be an easy task. Individually, ethnic and cultural variances put pressure on the marriage itself. with two diverse cultures. Family often has struggled with understanding the differences between the families. Most of the time, such differences are not even recognized and unexplained. At this portion, an even larger problem with intercultural marriages. So, yeah, it isn't easy to deal with the legacy that we've all grown up with. Our ethnic, religious, socioeconomic, numerous cultures will consume different marriage laws, customs, and also parental disagreements, which will lead to disputes. There will be lower material satisfaction, higher divorce rates due to logistics, language barriers, different traditions, and society's disapproval of these factors will lead to higher failure of the marriage. Hence, a union between two cultures should not be encouraged due to the factors mentioned above. Three major factors which are mainly focused on miscontribution towards an interracial culture marriage. Initially, the how the marriage is affected by cultural shock, diverse of marriage laws which can lead to disagreements, plus adaptation to various cultures and environmental factors. Secondly, the society's point of view, spouse facing discrimination due to color and differences, if he or she is beyond the racial divide. The last point will conclude the dissipation of culture, adaptation to a different culture. The main intention of getting married is to emotionally, spiritually, and physically unite men and women together as husband and wife. It is a commitment made in the presence of God and is valid until death. Intercultural marriages are often influenced by external factors that can create a confrontation and disagreement in relationships. Different cultures endure vastly diverse moral, ethical, and value foundations that influence their perceptions of individual, family, and societal lifestyle. When these fundamentals are operating alongside the foundation of different cultural roots, as in intercultural marriages, problems and disagreements often occur. It takes an effort to combine two cultures successfully and a willing attitude to learn from both partners. The first argument against intercultural marriages is the cultural shock, adaptation to a new culture. When considering an intercultural marriage, either one of the partners have to get introduced to a new culture. Ideally, both have to get used to each other's cultures and laws to survive the marriage. And this will create a lot of problems in the process. For example, a non Muslim marrying a Muslim will have to obey certain laws in Islam. Islam forbids marriage between Muslim women and non Muslim men. Therefore, any partner will have to convert and obey Islamic rules. In case of Muslim men marrying Jewish and Christian women, the situation is different. While Islam does allow this, Muslim men marrying Jews and Christians need to remember that living in the West, if they end up divorcing, the children will almost automatically be given to the mother. The converting process from one religion to another and adapting to new laws will create massive problems that will end the marriage. Additionally, wrinkle in the US Muslim family law practices stem from the structure of authority in Islamic jurisprudence. Since there has never been an official church certifying individuals to speak on behalf of the religion, the field is open for any dedicated Muslim to seek to act as imam and lead a community. Therefore, non Muslims have a very rare chance of winning and surviving in the marriage due to different laws and different cultural laws. Moving on, intercultural marriages have contrasting differences between traditions and cultures. Although a few studies have looked into this aspect, cultural differences also stimulate marital conflicts, particularly in intercultural marriages. In fact, the quantitative study of Takano in 2002, I'll give you the link to this, okay, pointed out that 19% of the marital discords in interethnic couples involved in his study are attributed to cultural differences. Couples that enter a cross cultural marriage bring into their relationship vastly different assumptions and expectations about marriage and family life. Many of these assumptions flow out of the values, unspoken rules, and belief systems that permeate their primary cultures. These unspoken values have become so much a part of their lives that they're almost hidden from view. For an example, the way of celebrating Christmas is different in Germany than in America. In fact, many of these cultural differences do not surface until after the couple is married. However, new experiences and new culture altogether may interest an adventurous spouse, as it's a unique once in a lifetime experience. And the difficulties greatly depend on how religious and culturally bond the families are. Okay, let me see. Any comments? Any comments? Let me see any more comments. None. No comment. Private chat. Anybody? Private chat. We have 25 minutes to go. 25 minutes to go. Oh, 24 minutes to go. Anybody in the private chat? You want to give their input? The link is there. Okay, to continue. Not all think out of the box. New strange land parents and language may cause distress at the beginning of marriage life. One spouse will live in the country of origin and the other will be a stranger in a strange land. The pleasantness may fall apart, maybe fall apart after some time when trying to fit into a different family culture. Marriage and customs differ from one country and another culture. For example, Indian marriage customs are varying from marriage customs of Chinese traditions. In Japan, the Japanese bride to be painted pure white from head to toe, visibly declaring her maiden status to the gods. There are two choices of headgear exist, one of which is the watabashi, is a white hood, while the other is called sunokakushi, serves to hide the bride's horns of jealousy. It also symbolizes the bride's intention to become a gentle and obedient wife. During the period of traditional wedding days, there would be a tilak ceremony where the groom is anointed on his forehead, a ceremony for adorning the bride's hand, then covered the feet with henna called mehendi, accompanied by ladies as sangeet, music and dance, and many other pre-wedding ceremonies. Hence, marriage traditions, customs, and beliefs may clash due to the above points mentioned so far. Religion runs deeper since they practice their faith, and it is a part of their cultural identity that they want to hang on to. The accurate customs and special days associated with the religion remain significant to them. Regarding the worship of the children will matter. Will matter. Some religions deny the validity of all others and insist on conversion or demand that the children should be brought up in that religion. A couple might face difficulty in deciding on this above point, and the spouse from the other religion may feel inferior and down. For example, Orthodox Judaism teaches that the family must repudiate sitsiva for a child who marries a non Jew. Islam demands obedience to God's law only as revealed by Muhammad, and also requires that a Muslim marry a fellow Muslim. The Catholic churches, until recent years, insisted that a non Catholic partner sign a prenuptial agreement to raise any Catholic children. Particular Christian sects preach that all outsiders are damned to eternal fire and prohibit any marriage to people of different faith. At this specific point, the problem may occur with the faith plays a major role in decision making. This is if the partner is intensely religious. As they approach each other's separate territory, there's a new language, new customs, and a new standard of normal to be learned. While culture, a certain behavior might be accepted, here it might cause native offense. This sort of marriage is similar to a foreign alliance, with two separate people coming together, covering the and history of the other. Okay, any more comments? Comments, questions? Comments, questions? Almost 20 minutes to go. Almost 20 minutes to go. Private chat. Anybody in the private chat? None. No one in the private chat. Comments? None in the comments. Okay, no one. Disapproval from parents and rejection from society. No man is different from the other. Every human being is created equal. Some optimists believe it is the mind of one that creates all the boundaries. But over the time, when people get used to one way of living, it is likely that they maintain the trend. Generation after generation, this is where culture plays a role. Once you are used to that play, it is very hard to get rid of it or adopt a different style of living. Culture is a total of the inherited ideas, beliefs, values, and knowledge, which constitute the shared basis of social action. So, as these practices are significant and unique part of a group of people at a particular period, they are no longer equal anymore. One would be different from the other from the thoughts and beliefs. Intercultural marriages go beyond the racial divide, which will lead to discrimination by people around them, and which may make it uncomfortable to family and parents. Interfaith, intercultural, and interracial marriages are subject to special stresses and strains beyond those experienced in most marriages. Issues are apparent from early in the relationship. Differences often emerge during wedding planning, and these can involve the expectations of partners as families of origin about the wedding ceremony, etc. Child rearing can also bring religious, cultural, and or racial issues to the surface as decisions about religious practices and education are confronted for the first time. Disapproval from parents from a cross cultural marriage is customary. Parents should play a major role in their children's marriage setup. As a matter of fact, the parents fear to risk the life of their unmarried children who might face discrimination from the partner's family members. There may also be communication problems if they speak different languages. And it's typical of parents to want their children to find a spouse from their own religion and culture just to make life easier. And this is a better place and this a better place to live. There are situations of interracial couple usually feel that they have been lowered by their children. A cross-cultural communication in a marriage should respect differences. In marriage, you just don't marry another. You interconnect with another family as a whole. Intercultural marriages can also include people from different races getting together, a situation where there are much more complicated issues when it comes to marriage. The cultural difference is greater. On the contrary, there's intercultural marriages present in the country, like in India. The culture of India is an amalgamation of these different, diverse subcultures spread all over the Indian subcontinent, and traditions that are several millennia old. Religiously, Hindus form the majority, followed by Muslims. The Republic of India's state boundaries are largely drawn based on linguistic groups. This decision led to the preservation and continuation of local ethno-linguistic cultures. Thus, states differ from one language in culture, cuisine, clothing, literary style, architecture, music. Another problem is that many of the couples have to encounter is societal disapproval. We have to cope up with our society in spite of our own opinion. The society, on the other hand, considers intercultural marriages as straying from traditional values. A society is an organization of people who share a common cultural and social background. The consequences of marriage affect every aspect of society. It occupies the most intimate aspect of personal privacy and personal love and reaches the pillars of sacred institutions of a culture. Marriage is the pillar of society, but it is also the pillar of government, business, and military. There are mere open-minded people who would give all the support they can. There will always be others who would make the couple feel unwelcome. The most abusive treatment would come from other children. During courtship, many of the racial differences might have overlooked, but after marriage, the couple might find it difficult to make adjustment as each group practice is a different way of life. Another discouraging occurs when the couples try to participate in social organizations. Although society's disapproval will not affect the couple as seriously as parental disapproval, it is still an issue that cannot be ignored. Sure, as it is multicultural, marriages require a lot of sacrifices. We have to cope up with our society in spite of our own opinion. The society, on the other hand, considers intercultural marriages as straying from traditional values. A society is an organization of people who share a common cultural and social background. The consequences of marriage affect every aspect of society. It occupies the most intimate aspect of personal privacy and personal love and reaches the pillars of the sacred institutions of a culture. Marriage is the pillar of society, but it is also the pillar of government, business, and the military. In this global world nowadays, people are becoming accepting more than they used to and less ignorant. In the eyes of the person who is getting married, this may no longer matter as love has no boundaries. It really doesn't. Maybe our soulmate is different, is from a different country and religion altogether. Marriage is a union of two who are in love. The relationship depends on the person in them. Care and trust are more important than what the person's religious or cultural background is. There will also be less discrimination amongst races. Nevertheless, there comes a point where it really does matter because a marriage needs to be maintained throughout with commitment and understanding. It is a bond that is virtually irrevocable. In order to be more comprehensive, it is excelling that if they have a grip on what it is, even better, having practiced the same. Parents' agreement for a marriage would be very important, and as it is a blessing for them indeed in the years ahead. Many face this problem because parents do not think like the present generation does. Also, the society holds the view that marriage is the stability provided by a lifelong promise of remaining together, which makes the institution most suited to rearing and socializing the next generation of members, a necessary task. If the society's norms, values, and goals are to be maintained, and if the society itself is to be immortalized, each culture has its own way of communicating, arguing, eating, sharing, and showing affection. Most cultures remain intact by passing along their nuances, habits, and sayings for hundreds of years, with only slight variations occurring within each generation. Culture dissipation. There are numerous cultures available throughout the world. People around the globe are similar in their essential humanity. We communicate with each other, we sustain ourselves with food, and when we sleep, we often dream. Yet we speak different languages, eat different foods, and dream different dreams. These are what we call the cultural differences. Let not scores of men/women abandon their culture and disappoint their parents and family in any way. All religions that accept or desire converts have to adapt themselves to the cultures where they spread, or they would not have been accepted. Absolutely true. In the new era, as intercultural marriages are present, dissipation of culture is on the increase. As people migrate, get married to people of different culture and religion, there will be less who maintains the tradition, ethics, and values that they're nurtured with. These differences, like religion, ethics, affects the spiritual stability of that marriage in an unforeseen manner. Why is culture so important? In a society, groups of people are active and interpersonal. In order to understand the groups to which one belongs, it is important to recognize the various cultures or habits and traditions within each group. It makes for a better understanding between diverse groups. Let's get this through. Cultures are constantly changing. The attitudes, values, goals, the practices that characterize each society, technological innovation, and contact with other cultures may cause these to change dramatically. And intercultural marriage is one of the causes for cultures to go extinct, and it promotes cultural discontinuity. Cultures do change, they're never static. the responsibility of us to maintain it, and also some convert from one religion to another after an intercultural marriage due to the influence of the new environment. This may not always be good. After the marriage, the spouse, most probably the female, might not experience the same traditions and ethics in the new family. There will be no one to maintain its cultures, are connected, no one to maintain. Its cultures are connected to language and traditions and religions. Cultural continuity is important. Continuity that requires that a culture stays the same. On the other hand, people believe an intercultural marriage does bring about many cultures together and ensures freedom. Unity in the society and traditions should be revisited because if not, women nowadays will be locked up in kitchens like in the 16th century. Culture diffusion is good, less racial discrimination because no one is neglecting anyone due to cultural barriers. Hmm. Okay, let me see. Any comments? Any comments? Let me see. No comments. Oh, 9 minutes to go. 9 minutes to go. Join the discussion via the link. Here we go. Oh, sorry. Uh, Cross-cultural marriage is no picnic. Okay, marrying someone from another faith and race can involve huge familial strain. It's not something to be fetishized by liberals. In fact, I'm sharing an article from The Guardian. This is known as cross-cultural magic is known as Patik Patak. His name, Patik Patak. Marrying someone from another faith and race can involve huge familial strain. It's not something to be fetishized by liberals. My engagement present was a book of Puck Psalms with yellow highlighters streaked through passages that warned of the eternal damnation that non believers face. It was presented to me in the small dark room of a village house on the outskirts of Nairobi by my future father in law, a lay preacher. I had gone there to ask for my girlfriend's hand in marriage and to meet her family. I'm a Hindu. That's why I read Anushka Asthana's invitation for everyone to join Britain's cross cultural marital jamboree with more than a little alarm. It's not that I oppose interracial or interreligious marriage, because I've enjoyed mine, but there's a dark side to it, and sometimes the choices it forces upon you are more trying than deciding between curries and roast dinners. I can't pretend that my marriage typifies cross cultural marriages in any way. I don't have statistics to hand, but I guess that Asian female slash white male marriages are more common than Hindu Asian male slash Christian Kenyan female. What my marriage showed, though, is that cross cultural marriages can light up an unexpected bonfire of bigotries. My parents, for example, were remarkably accepting of our union, but my extended family much less so. For many traditional Indians, fairness of skin is the yardstick of beauty. It's inextricably linked to social status too. So my fiance, darker than their servants, wasn't considered marriage material. This wasn't helped by the fact that many of my cousins have wives who could pass for Greeks. When she passed through Mumbai on a work trip, they took the opportunity to quiz her on why she wanted to marry, wondering aloud if it wasn't so she could get a British passport. The fact that she was an Hindu didn't seem to bother them much, though. If color lay at the root of my family's objections, then religion was my father in law's prejudice of choice. I'll admit, being a lay preacher meant he was never going to accept without a struggle my worship of many, many gods. They had no problem with my race. We are all brothers of Christ, he repeatedly insisted. His problem was with my faith. For these reasons, he didn't speak to my fiancée for 6 months before I went to Kenya and threatened to never again unless she broke off our engagement. Fortunately for us, he broke his silence the day before I arrived in exchange for the opportunity to have a crack at converting me. He did try hand to give him credit, hence the engagement gift. I spent most of the trip squirming from the Christianity that crept into every family get together. It turned out there wasn't anything that wasn't worth praying for. We even paused to pray for a quick journey to the airport, even though it made us late. I ended up meeting more people from my father in law's church than from his family, and they all impressed upon me the perils of worshiping false idols. They consistently failed to say my name properly. After a certain point, I was convinced they were mispronouncing my name deliberately so that I might think of myself as being a Patrick and thus one step close to the kingdom of Christ. Despite these trials, they didn't put us off marriage, and if anything, strengthened our resolve. So I'm not suggesting that anyone should give up their big romance out of fear of tripping up on family prejudices. That's clearly not the right message. But there's something worrying about fetishing cross cultural marriage or trying it out for novelty or to prove just how liberal you are. It won't be a magical journey for everyone, and sometimes it can place strains of a family that take them to a breaking point. In fact, they should come with a health warning. Cross cultural marriages can seriously damage your relationship with your parents. Okay, screen share stopped. Private chat, none. Okay, 3 minutes to go. Anyone want to give me their input? Any input? 3 minutes to go. Anyone want to join the last 3 minutes? Mr. Mufassel, if you would please give your final words if you wish. Love to hear from you. The last 3 minutes, your final input. Okay, let's see how many minutes we got. We got 2 minutes to go. Do cross-cultural marriages work? Signing up for a lifelong commitment with another person can be one of the richest and most rewarding experience. Marriage is also hard work and requires effort and attention. A relationship in general means that two people from different backgrounds come together and then try to unify their different experiences into a set of expectations for the future. Each partner incorporates his or her background, upbringing, and beliefs into his or her expectations of the relationship and future together. When the partners are from the same culture, there are many traditions, beliefs, and values that overlap. Yet there will be a great many differences in how each partner views the relationship. When partners come from two different cultures as well, then the differences can be vast. How many minutes to go? Okay, 1 minute. I'll just give my closing. I'll say the most difficult thing a cross cultural marriage may face is lack of approval from family and friends. In many cases, one or both families may not approve of the cultural integration, and this can leave the couple disengaged and isolated from family and much needed support. While it can be a difficult to choose, cross cultural marriages can work and be extremely rewarding when partners are proactive and build healthy communication practices between themselves and families. Psychologists at the Center for Human have been working with cross cultural directly. Okay. So I would say, in closing, cross cultural marriages, please watch this video at least 3 times and then make your decision. Good night, everybody. This is Adnan from Adnan Hour signing off. Until next, see you next week on the Adnan Hour, same time.